up? This is Caroline with the CWC Podcast, where we believe that life without your favorite foods is not worth living. I'm going to be talking a lot about my journey to food freedom, and of course I will always keep it real by sharing the good, the bad, and of course the ugly. Okay, so welcome. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm welcoming you guys to my very first podcast. This is so cool. I'm just going to take this in and sort of revel in it for just a minute, because this is something I've wanted to do for a very long time. I do live videos until my eyes bleed. And then, now that it's gotten further along, I have quite a few clients and just, women and men in general who are like, hey, where's that video that you did that one time about forgiving yourself or small bites? And it's very difficult. I'm like, I don't know. I did that 58 weeks ago, so I don't have a clue. That was part of the reason why I wanted to start this podcast, just to have everything kind of in a chronological order, and I can organize it. And that way I can say, hey, refer to my podcast. So that was part of it. Another reason is ultimately I want to grow community with Caroline. I want it to be everywhere. I want everyone to know what it is. And that's just how much I believe in it. And this is another way, I think, to help reach the masses. So if you are watching or listening, I am so thankful that you're here. And I figured the first one, Mary, my coach, has been helping me kind of put together, look how type A she is. She's put together this bullet point list of what I could talk about, because I'm obviously not going to be doing this just me. I'm going to have guests on. And so, but in the beginning, you guys need to know, what the hell is this? Who is this chick, Caroline? What's she talking about? What does she do? What do I stand for? How can she help me? So I'm going to explain all of that today, with basically just giving you an introduction on who I am and what Community with Caroline is, how it came about. So first, for starters, I've pretty much struggled with food my entire life. Even as a young girl, I was constantly thinking about food, and my friends were not. I noticed that I was constantly planning my next meal. I was constantly obsessing about what I was eating at a very early age. And it was weird to me that my friends didn't do the same things I did. I thought I was weird. I thought that I had problems. Obviously not at the time. As a child, I wasn't thinking about, I have these problems. I just obsessed about food. And as I got older, I never really had to worry about my weight. I was always thin. And the older I got, that changed. And in my mid-20s is when, I talk about kind of hitting that first wall of, I've kind of skated by with decent genetics up until now, and I just eat what I want. I don't worry about it. The weight doesn't pile on. And then it started to. I wasn't working at the time. I was taking antidepressants. I was laying on the couch every day. I was getting up at 10 a.m. and throwing on my sweatpants and driving to Taco Bell and ordering the same thing every single day. And it was a really weird time in my life. It's a time that I never thought I would be okay talking about. And I've talked about it obviously prior to this, but if I don't mention Taco Bell in my intro, it would just not be right. It's literally I call them my Taco Bell days. That's just what they were. And at the time, I never in a million years thought that I would ever speak about this to anyone. It literally was my deepest, darkest secret, and I wanted no one to know about it. Even my husband didn't know. Pooh Bear did not know, and we'll get into Pooh Bear, but Pooh Bear didn't even know until I started talking about all this a couple years ago. And, like, I'm talking about like hiding it. Like, I got to the point where I would go and I would come home and I would eat it and then I would put it in the trash can. Well, he started noticing, like, he would come home and say, why did you eat Taco Bell again? Like, are you going every single day? Because at that point it was like, that's a lot of money. Like, you're spending $15, $20 at Taco Bell every single day. Well, then I was like, shit, not only do I feel shameful, but now, like, I mean, financially, this is a really piss poor decision. So I started hiding it. I would hide it in the trash. I would like go, and when I would get done eating, I would like pick up trash in the trash can and like tuck it under other trash so he wouldn't see it. I mean, this is really like not my brightest moments, but I'm sharing them because it's important. Because when I did that video for the very first time and like kind of divulged all of that, it was so scary. But what happened after that was all of these women messaged me and they were like, I do the same thing. I've done that same thing. Oh my God, I've obsessed about food like that. That was kind of like the first window where I was like, oh, like you've struggled with that too. Like, it isn't just me. I'm not alone. And that was really the start of everything. I hadn't even started the community at this point. I hadn't even like done my bikini show competition at that point. I was just gearing up to do that, which that's a whole nother episode we'll talk about later. But so that's how I kind of want to like introduce myself is, I've struggled with food, obsessing with food my entire life. And when I started gaining weight in my mid-20s from my Taco Bell shenanigans, it freaked me out and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, like, how do I stop this? How do I get out of this? And that is where the fad diet hell started. As a 26-year-old, I was like, how do I get the weight off? How do I get this off? And it was, okay, well, I guess you're going to starve yourself and you're going to go, to the track and run every day. And that's quite literally all I knew about losing weight. And that was terrible. I mean, starving yourself when you truly love food is fucking terrible, but that's what I did. And, I was young enough to where like I could go run for a couple weeks and deprive myself and the weight would fall off. And I thought, okay, well, I've got this under control now. Well, no, I never, I would just go back to binging and eating food that I really liked, which was crap food. Like, I'm a junk food junkie. I'm not someone who is sophisticated with their food. I love stadium cheese, and the stadium cheese, like, quite literally runs through my veins every day. I love it. And so it was that much harder for me, I feel like, to stick to a diet. Like, when I, would talk to my friends about it, they'd be like, well, I have yogurt and granola in the morning. And I'm like, what? What? You eat yogurt voluntarily? Why would you ever do that? But I mean, like, I never felt like they understood me because I was like, that's just not what I like. I wake up and I crave like Cool Ranch Doritos. So I digress. I struggled with fad diets. I call it, like, I lived in fad diet hell for a very long time of just like, what will get the weight off? I'll do it. Anything. I'll struggle. I'll put in the time. If it's like 3 weeks or 3 months, like, I think I can do it if the weight will just come off. And it was just, I was miserable all the time. All the time I was miserable. And I feel like this cycle went on for a very long time. The weight would come off and then I'd put it back on. The weight would come off and I'd put it back on. And, I mean, every diet out there, you can name it. I've tried it. Obviously, as I got older, we got married, started having kids. I have 2 kids, and I gained a lot of weight with my first pregnancy. And that was devastating. After I had my son, I had a lot of weight, like my shoes didn't even fit and I didn't feel like myself. I really did, like, I thought that the weight would just come off and I would just go back to being regular Caroline, and it didn't happen. And that was when I was like, I'm really going to have to put some effort in on this. Like, unfortunately, I'm going to have to like finally just stick to something and be miserable. That's really kind of what I thought. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to be miserable now. Like, I'm older, the weight is not going to come off. So I started doing cleanses, and the weight came off because I was very diligent with what I did. I'm a very type A personality. I'm OCD. So like if I'm doing something, I'm going to do it. Like I'm not cheating. So like I would do a 10-day cleanse, and like I did it perfectly. So of course I dropped weight and I felt amazing. But at the same time, I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this? Like I don't want to eat like this forever. So now what? So every diet led me to like this like dead end where I was like, now what? Like, what, now what? What do I do? Like, how do I continue to navigate my life? And how do I still eat what I like? Like, I don't want to eat vegetables every day. I don't want to eat raw carrots every day. I don't want to eat fucking baked grilled chicken for the rest of my life. Like, will someone just be real with me? And I couldn't find anyone to just shoot me straight. Like, I hired coaches, and it was always the same song and dance. Like, this is what you eat. This is, you didn't go to the gym every day. And it's like, there has to be a better way. So anyway, I'm trying not to drone on, I promise. These always end up being super long, and it's okay. It's okay. They're going to be long. In my mind, I always think I need to keep it at like 20 minutes, but it doesn't need to be at 20 minutes. Back to what I was saying. This is what happens when I do my live videos. I get so off track. All right. So a fad diet hell that lasted forever. I started having kids, and it became that much harder. And after I had my daughter, in 2013, everything kind of, I guess, came to a head is what is coming to my brain. Because I struggled with postpartum depression after having her, and, you know, all of my food issues returned. They were still there. I didn't gain quite as much weight during that pregnancy, but afterwards, I was in a very dark place. And I talk about this a little bit in my first book. I'm actually writing my second book right now, and I'm talking a lot more about it. I'm actually going into like very deep, letting you know like all of those crazy thoughts, because I find that the more I share about them, it's really, really hard. But like other women are like, oh, I went through that too. And it's comforting to hear someone else is thinking these thoughts and going through these things. And, you know, they're not just like painting this picture of such a perfect existence, because, you know, life is fucking hard. And that is the one thing I always, you know, if you're sitting here listening to this right now or watching, like, I want you to know that, like, no matter what, I will always, always, always shoot you straight and keep it real, because I don't really know it. I don't really know another way. I don't know how not to. I've been like that since I was young. I just want people to be real with me. So that's what I'm going to give to you guys. So I talk about all my struggles all the time. Sometimes it sounds like I'm whining. I'm not, I swear. I'm getting to a good point. So where was I at? Hopefully JJ can edit some of this out. I'm just sitting here like, this is what happens when I do my videos, though. Sometimes I just get sidetracked. So 2013, I had Bren. I was struggling with postpartum depression. I had began drinking, was eating like complete shit every day. I was lashing out at people in my life. I really, like, my friends weren't hanging around me. We were having, you know, I was having issues with Pooh Bear. And all of this was because at the time I was so unhappy with myself. And I will attribute like some of this to the hormone changes. You know, I think Bryn was around 5 months old, and I just remember feeling so lost. And I can't describe it. Like, you know, as a woman, you look around and you think, I should be so grateful. Why am I not grateful? Like, I should be so grateful for all, like, why am I taking this for granted and feeling this way? But on the flip side, it is so important to acknowledge the way that you're feeling. If you're feeling a certain way, like, there's a reason. And that was something I wish I could go back and tell myself, because it was so hard at the time, feeling so alone. Like no one understood what I was going through. And if I talked about it, I felt like I was complaining about it, and that wasn't the case. I wasn't complaining about my life. I just didn't know why I felt these things. And I'm not going to cry. Wow. It was really hard. I was confused. I felt lost. I felt scared for feeling these things. I didn't know what these feelings were. At the same time, I was trying to focus on having the perfect body. And this is when I knew something had to change. Like I was well aware that the drinking had gotten out of hand. My husband and my sister were like about to step in and be like, something has to change. Like, you've got to stop the drinking. It's enough. Like that or else. So I signed up with a trainer begrudgingly, and I, had my feet still kind of stuck in the ground. Like I wanted to do it, but I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. And, I started working out. I vowed to stop drinking, even though I didn't want to. And of course, with me, I've told you guys, like, if I do something, I do it. So I was like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. So I didn't drink. I hit my meal plan every single day on the dot. I went to the gym. I did what I was told. And, the weight started coming off. And more importantly, I started feeling better. I genuinely started having more energy. I genuinely felt less depressed. I genuinely felt less anxious. I felt like I had a purpose all of a sudden. It sounds really weird, but that's how I felt. I'm trying to just kind of walk you back through all these things I went through as I started my transformation 7 years ago. And it gave me something like, I was a better mom. I was a much better wife. I was a much better sister. I was a much better friend. I just noticed everything starting to transform in a completely different way that I had not expected. Like I literally went into this with like, hey, I want my ass to not look like a shattered glass window. I think that's what I said to my coach at the time. I was like, I want like this cellulite on the front of my legs to be gone. Like that's gross. And I want to look better. And I didn't expect like all of these other changes. I really just wanted to look better. And I started feeling so good about myself. And so, I don't want to stop right there and just say the rest is history, but it kind of is. So I went through, the really strict regimented diet. I stuck to it for a very long time to where it just became what I did. And almost to like the other end of the spectrum to where like my sister was like, look, I'm real fucking happy that you're healthy now, but like you still haven't found that middle ground. Like you've gone from like this over here to like this over here. And now you're like, you won't cheat. You won't put a Dorito in your mouth. Like you won't miss a day at the gym. Like, can you just find a fucking middle ground? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can. And so that was kind of the point where I knew like, okay, I got to find something. I got to find something that works for me. But I had no idea at the time what that was. So a couple years passed, I competed in a bikini show. Like I said, I'm totally saving that story for another episode because that's a complete and utter epic shit show all on its own. And that needs to be talked about and addressed. So that did not do anything for my self-esteem, to put it bluntly. And after my show that I competed in, I was like, something has to change. I've been doing this for a couple years now. I can't keep going full speed and denying what I really want. Like I really want to just have a balance. That's all I wanted, was just a balance with my workouts, with my food, everything. And so I started the community. I started community with Caroline in December of 2000. Oh my God, it was coming up on 3 years. So 17, 18, 19, yes. December of 2017, I started the community, and it literally started out as like a 30-day challenge. And I was like, hey, I had my Raw Real Spectacular group, and that was the group I had done all my videos in and did my original Food Demons video in that I told you about earlier. And I said, everybody go to this group, or I didn't say everybody go to the group. I said, I'm starting a challenge. Who wants to sign up? I think it was like $50 for 30 days. And I told Pooh Bear, I said, oh my God, no one is going to sign up. Like if I get 5 girls, I told him, I said, if I get 5 girls, I'm going to be so fucking pumped. Because at the time, like I knew what to do. So like I knew how to write a meal plan. I knew what to tell people to do at the gym. I knew all that. But I still didn't know how to do it and not be restrictive. I was still learning that. So had 20 girls sign up the first month, and I was like blown away. Like I felt like I was on top of like the world. It was so cool and weird and crazy that 20 girls signed up for my challenge. So literally, again, I don't want to say like the rest is history, but it kind of is. Like that was 3 years ago. Coming up in December, that was 3 years ago. And we are now over 1,000 members in our community, which is so crazy. I've been dreaming about having 1,000 members since the day I started this community, when we had like 33 girls. And it's now real. And, I've got 100 clients that I coach, and I have coaches underneath me who have upwards of 100 clients that they coach. And it's so weird to now like look back on old Caroline, or I call her Crazy Caroline, and think of like that I'm doing this now, that like I'm sitting in my office filming a fucking podcast. Like it's crazy to me. But ultimately I don't want to say like I made the choice to change. I did. But I never want to be like that cliche that like, if you're listening, I don't want you to be like, well, how did she do it? Tell me how you did. Like literally, I just stayed consistent and I never quit. I will always remind you guys of that over the past 7 years, I've been on track. I say this all the time. I've been on plan maybe 33% of the time. So like all that other period of time, I have fucked up like and fallen off track and like binged on ice cream and like ate chips for dinner every night. So I don't want you to ever think that you have to be perfect to achieve anything. You just have to be consistent. That's quite literally all that you need to do. And I'm going to talk obviously like this. I want this podcast to be fucking huge, and I have all these things that I want to talk about, and I have a million guests in my mind already of who I want to have on. Ultimately, the point of this show is going to be, I'm going to always share my journey. Number one, first and foremost, I'm going to share what I'm going through. I'm going to tell you about it like completely authentically. Sometimes it's going to get uncomfortable because I'm going to share things that make me very uncomfortable with sharing. But I promise to always be vulnerable with you and let you know what's going on. And I'm going to tell you about how I continuously have that balance and try to have the balance. Like it doesn't always happen, but I feel like I really have finally figured out a way to not just keep a balance, but to love my body in the process. And that's something that we work on in the community every single day, every week with our clients. It's not just about trying to achieve a certain physique like I did in the beginning 7 years ago. I just wanted that body. That's all I wanted. I thought it would solve all my problems, and it didn't. It didn't. Really appreciating and loving your body how it is in the process, that's where you really need to be, and that's where you need to get. And so I'm going to help you get there. You may be listening right now and you're like, yeah, right. Like nothing you can say can make me change the way I feel about my body. Well, yeah, I can actually. So I'm going to constantly like tell you the reminders that I tell my clients every week, tips on how to, I'm going to explain macros. I'm going to explain how to hit your macros. I'm going to explain how to silence those negative thoughts so that you stop mentally abusing yourself. And we're going to talk about rest. We're going to talk about everything. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. I don't even know. I'm trying to like look at this and see where I'm at, and I don't know. But I had right here, basically, Mary had put introduction about you. And I think I covered that. I think I covered that I'm not this like fitness guru. Really not. Deep down, I am a junk food junkie at heart. Truly, that is like what makes my soul sing, is stadium cheese and French fries drenched in stadium cheese and donuts and lemon brownies. I'm going to stop there. But those are the things that I really enjoy. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that like, yeah, you just need to eat these grilled chicken salads every day and I'm going to teach you how to, no. We're going to talk about all sorts of things that real people talk about, that real women talk about and struggle with. And some of it is going to get uncomfortable, probably more so for me than you. But I just basically want to help everybody figure out how to create a balance in your life with not only food, but with the way you're speaking to yourself, what you really want out of life, what you want to manifest and make happen in your life. I want you to silence those negative thoughts, and that takes a lot of fucking practice. I'm still working on that. I've gotten a lot better, but I mean, it's day-to-day work. So like anything, in life that you want is going to take hard ass work. I am never once going to sidestep that has to be part of your process. Like, you have to put work in. I'll never tell you that it's going to be fucking easy, because it's not. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, and you're always going to want to quit. Like, I wake up every day and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And people don't think that. They think, that I'm so motivated every single day. I'm not. Like, I'm motivated to help women every day, but I don't wake up like motivated to go to the gym every day. I don't wake up like wanting to chug my egg whites every day. I don't. But I do it because I know that I feel better when I do those things. And so I'm going to teach you ways to stick to your plan, get your workouts in, maybe not get your workouts in when you're needing rest. Like, that's another really important topic that we'll save for later. But ultimately, I want you guys to live your best fucking life. Like, that is the point of this podcast. If I really had to put it bluntly, that is the point of this podcast. I want you to live your best fucking life, and I'm going to teach you how. Because I feel like I kind of climbed out of the deepest, darkest depths of where I was at one point, multiple times. I climbed my way out, I feel like, and nothing is perfect now. I don't ever want to say feel so like everything's great, but I feel exponentially better about the way I view my body. And I feel exponentially better about waking up every day knowing that if I want nachos, I can still have them, and I can still stay on track. And it's not an all or nothing anymore. I finally have realized that. So that is what I am here to teach you. So thank you so much for joining my first podcast. This was so cool. And I'm shaking my desk like crazy. All right, that's it. I post a lot on my Instagram stories, like 50 a day. If you are not following me on Instagram, you need to. It is Caroline C. Mathias. That's my Instagram handle. If you're wondering about our community, it is Community with Caroline on Facebook. It's a group. You can search it, find it, request access. We would love to have you join. One of our ambassadors or coaches will get you added. My website is caroline.fit. If you guys are wanting to reach out to me and ask questions about any of the programs I offer, anything, what we do, my email is hello@caroline.fit. I know I just threw a lot of stuff at you. Hopefully JJ will make it look really nice on the screen and like put it up there, and like that way you can write it down or type it in. But our CWC family is fucking awesome, and we would love to have you join us. So that is it for the first official podcast. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I will see you guys in episode 2 next time. All right, signing off. Thank you for checking out the CWC podcast. If you want to learn more about our community, make sure to check out the show notes.